All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Life and Sound podcast. I'm your host, Kid Capone. Today, I have an amazing guest with me, T.Y. Jake. He's a sample maker and producer from Long Island, New York, who's now LA-based. He's had a few releases on the Kingsway music library, as well as his own personal library, where he's released the Heartbreaks, Drum Breaks, Volume 1, as well as his Sounds of Ignorance pack, and I'm really excited to have him on the show. Jake, how you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm good. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Excellent, man. Did you have a nice weekend, a good Super Bowl?
Yeah, I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but my girlfriend's in town, so she's from New York, so we're enjoying the time together.
Nice, man. That sounds great.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll start with some of the easier questions, and then later on in the interview, we'll kind of move into the more technical stuff. And yeah, I'm just here to have a good conversation with you, man.
Cool.
All right. Where did you get your name as an artist and as a brand?
T.Y. Jake. I was going as Jake, just my name, Jake Hogan, for a minute, and then my guy Vaughn, was like, man, you got to put something else in front of it. Like it needs a little bit. It needs something to catch people. And I was like, oh, all right. And I was like, I'll just put TY like for thank you, and it just stuck. So I was like, cool. It was like my first Kingsway pack. I was like, well, I guess I need to pick a name now because I feel like once I go with this, I'm gonna be stuck with it. So
yeah,
I remember talking to Josh, the manager at Kingsway, and he was like, well, you better pick a name because once you get it, this is gonna be it. So I was like, all right, TY Jake, that's it.
I love that, man. Well, thank you for that. That's definitely a great name, and it does stick out. It's like reminiscent of a lot of the rap crew kind of stuff that you see, like YBN and those kind of things.
Yeah.
What are your future plans for yourself and the brand?
Future plans are to step out of like the sample making world and start to move into like songwriting and being my own artist. Probably I'm thinking about dropping the name TY and like I don't know what I'll change it to, but have some sort of alias or a different name that I go by. But definitely working towards that, just doing like some weird artist stuff and hopefully be able to keep like the sample making going and all that. But similar to the guy like Beckin, I think that's his name, who did all the stuff for like, he did like all the Kendrick Lamar, like all the weird shit in the beginning of the Kendrick Lamar songs. Pride's gonna be the death of you. Yeah, that guy. He's dope. So that guy I look up to, man. That kind of vibe.
That's awesome. Like,
yeah.
What made you decide that you want to kind of move into that songwriting direction, artist kind of direction, instead of purely sample making?
Because, man, sample making... Sorry, let me just move this down so I can see that I'm recording here. The rat race of sample making is just insane, man. Like, trying to chase placements and do all these things and you know, send DMs to everybody and you get all these things. Oh, we got a song with da-da-da. We got a song with this. And nothing ever happens. It's just like... It's too insane. I saw this thing on Kame One's story the other day where it was like, stop trying to chase placements and like make your own placements. So I was like, maybe I'll just make my own placements instead. So...
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a hectic thing when you're putting in all this time and effort and crafting these like beautiful masterpieces of music, and then you're kind of at the mercy of the artist or of the public of not giving it validation, but kind of deciding if you're going to be making a living off of it or not.
Yeah.
Because your packs are definitely high quality, and I love them, and it's. I think you definitely deserve to be living off of the music, 100%.
Thank you. Yeah. So I don't want to be trapped in that bubble or that race.
And it sounds like you're more so moving towards following your joy, and that's going to be the thing that's ultimately going to work out no matter what, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so. Rather than making like trap loops for Fabio Foreign, it's like, nah, I want to do some stuff that I'll enjoy.
Yeah, you want something that fulfills the soul versus just purely for money or placements.
Exactly.
I love that. How would you say your relationship with music has changed now versus when you were younger or a kid?
Well, it's changed a lot, honestly, in the past like 6 months since moving to LA. But as a kid, I grew up, I wasn't listening to anything like crazy. It was like my dad listened to like Bruce Springsteen and like Elvis Costello, and like it was good. It was a good like range of stuff that I listened to, but I didn't have like the full spectrum. But growing up, I got into band and I played the trumpet, and then I started playing the tuba. So I was like playing the tuba, doing all these festivals, like going to like the all-state band, all that stuff. And then I kind of shifted in like high school somewhere. I heard, what's that French Montana song? I used to listen to like AC/DC and like rock and roll and shit and Led Zeppelin. And I heard, ain't worrying about none. Ain't worrying about none. Whatever that song is. And I was like, this shit is gangster. Like, I got to start doing some stuff like this. And I remember starting to make beats in GarageBand. Yeah, and then I realized like that it was a thing. It was possible. But since now everything's changed. You know, I've come far in my 7 years of producing or 6 years of producing, however long I've done it.
That's amazing, man. I love that you started out on real instruments and, you know, like you had this rock background and you know, it wasn't always hip hop based. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of had like something that inspired the change. And then you made the shift, like following your heart, following what interested you.
Yeah.
And
it's fun.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
It's funny because I remember first playing that French Montana song. And my mom was like, I hope you're not listening to rap music now. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, this shit's hard. Yeah. But I'm glad I did because it worked out so far.
Definitely. So did you kind of transition from playing the tuba and that to like starting to play guitar and those things kind of in high school?
No, it was honestly tuba most of like throughout high school. And then I remember seeing like doing touring for college, and I was looking at like state schools like Purchase and in New York and Ithaca and stuff, and then I went and saw Berkeley in Boston, and I was like, oh, like saw the studios. I knew nothing about it. Like I didn't really know anything about recording or engineering, or at that point I wasn't even really making beats. I was just kind of like messing around. And I went to Berkeley. I saw Berkeley like as a tour, and I was like, this is insane. Like I have to go here. So I just like once I wasn't really doing anything like super production heavy in high school, and then got into Berkeley on the tuba. Luckily it's a rare instrument, so it's a little bit easier money wise because it's an expensive school. So they hook you up because you know, who plays the tuba? There's like 7 of us in the whole school, so it was cool that way. And then that's when it started to transition. I started to get into like producing, and everyone there did music. So obviously everyone did music, but everyone there did a lot of producing and like beat making, and that's when it really started. Like I realized it was possible.
I love that. You like, you know, you kind of indirectly dove headfirst into an environment where you're surrounded by so many talented musicians and producers. I'm sure it made it easier to close the gap from being a beginner to being more advanced in the process, like really quickly.
Yeah. Like my roommates, it was this one dude. I still live with him now, but his name's Brandon. He's an Australian dude, amazing piano player, and this Italian dude, Marcos, from like, you know, I was a real culture that had it all over the world, but these dudes were like incredible piano players, and I learned a lot because I had never seen anything like that. I never, like, my high school band was like pretty whack. Everything I was doing was like orchestral music or like film scoring type of stuff. I had never seen like jazz or like bebop like in my face that much, you know?
Yeah, like you just around it now and it's part of the curriculum, so you kind of have to be exposed to it, and it like has its amazing influence because it maybe wouldn't have been something you sought out on your own, but because you were surrounded by it and like inundated in it, it like had a deep effect on you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. What was the process like for creating your Kingsway sample packs?
Man, that didn't honestly come. The first Kingsway pack was like, I think like 2 years ago now, a little bit more than 2 years ago, and I was like just started making samples. Someone was like, you should just take the melodies out of your beats and just send them out. I was like, people do that? And he's like, yeah, just do that. Like, just send it out to people. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, that's easy. Yeah, I already got like 1,000 beats. Like, let me just take the melodies out. So I did that, and then sent out like probably one pack of like 20 samples. And someone was like, you should reach out to Kingsway. And I remember thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I used to like rip samples from here. I remember like trying to like on the YouTube video, you can still hear the Kingsway tag, like Kingsway music, and like try to cut around it. Like, just strategically try to find the spots that didn't have the tag in it. But yeah, and then someone's like, you should just submit. And I knew this guy, Mito, OG Toronto legend. And he was like one of the first people on Kingsway, and he was like, yeah, I'll just introduce you. He introduced me to Josh, who's the manager at Kingsway. And Josh was like, send me over a pack. And like 2 weeks later, I sent him a pack of like 18 samples. I think we got it down to like whatever it was. Maybe it was 18. I can't remember how much was in the pack. Yeah, it wasn't honestly that crazy of a process for making them. I think I was just like, I didn't really know what to expect. I think I was like at home. I did it all on like my laptop, no MIDI or no microphone, or nothing live. It was everything was done on my laptop in like I was home for college break, and it was, yeah.
I love that, man. Yeah. And it shows you like you don't always need the most expensive gear or the craziest like instruments and those kind of things. You don't need to even be the most fluid musician like live playing things. Yeah. And then also the value of having connections and making good relationships and good friends with people. And those are the things that'll carry you to a career or get you somewhere that you never even thought you'd be able to get to on your own.
Yeah, it's insane. There's so much like business and politics in this music that sometimes the talent doesn't even matter. But yeah,
it's true.
And you have both.
And it's wild because I feel like the deeper you get into it, you start realizing how like truly small the music industry is.
Super small.
Yeah, you talk to somebody and it's like, you gotta always proceed with caution and with grace, because you don't want to step on the wrong toes, because you don't know who knows who. And
exactly.
And you could burn a bridge if you're not careful.
Yep. You go in and you might have some beef with somebody, but you gotta feel around first before you start spitting, because everyone knows everyone. It's when I started to realize that like even at the level I'm not now, it's not like I'm not at the top or I'm not, but it's like the pyramid just gets smaller and smaller, and then at the top it's like 40 people running it, and it's crazy. There's like in the hip hop game at least, but
no, you're 100% right, and it's just wild because there's like this small group of people that really is making the music for the millions, billions of people on the planet.
Yeah, it's a group of 200 people making the music for everybody. I don't know, it's insane. Yeah,
I love that. How did you create your recent Heartbreaks drum sample pack?
A lot of that stuff was, none of it was live. It was all drawn in. Addictive drums I used as like a lot of like fillers and like for like my hi-hats and stuff. And then I used a lot of the Al Hug and Beat Butcher kits for that. Because Al Hug, his percussion kits are stupid. He's got like all like the congas and the bongos and like the bongo fills and the claves. He's got everything. So that, man, and just listening to breaks, and then I would put the breaks together and then run them through like a bunch of processing. Honestly, RC20, I usually don't even like go towards RC20 like that, but I was using it a lot, and then I ran them all through tape at the end.
Yeah, that tape machine behind you, right?
Yeah. My little reel to reel.
How long have you had that?
Probably a year now. I bought it when I was like in COVID at some point. So yeah, maybe a little more than a year.
What was the decision to buy the reel-to-reel tape machine? Like, what made you decide I want something like that?
I saw them on Facebook Marketplace, and at the time I was home during COVID working as a plumber. I wasn't spending money on anything, bro. I was just stacking. So I was like, I felt like I was balling. I was living at home. I didn't have any obligations. I was like, this wasn't even that much money, but I just was like, it was like $450, but it's actually pretty good. I got a pretty good deal on it because I think they go for like $900. But I was just looking on Facebook Marketplace. I was always looking for like guitar pedals and always like all the music stuff. And I was actually pretty surprised to find this because the Long Island used music gear scene is pretty slim. It's like you're not gonna find anything crazy, but found that. I was like, oh, this is sick. I gotta get it. Like I don't even know what I'm gonna do with it, but I gotta.
Definitely, man. I love that. Yeah, I know when I took Al Hug's sample class and he and I were talking about different gear and stuff, he has these like, he was telling me there's these Uher like German tape machines, and he was saying how there was like a guy he knows in Germany who found like a crate full of unopened ones, and he's like, yeah, I can get you the plug if you want to buy one. And I was like, I definitely need to cop that if I can, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember him telling me about that. Like a bunch like that. Those units are insane. Like so good, man. I haven't had the chance to buy one, but
I know it's on the list.
it's definitely on the list for sure.
I love that. What are some other pieces of gear you're kind of looking into maybe in the near future?
Next cop is, man, a synth of sorts. I want a Juno, but they can be temperamental and they're they're expensive. It could be a big investment. But I think the next buy is either a Prophet or a Super 6. But I think it's gonna be a Super 6, the UDO Super 6. Dude, those things are insane. My friend Jay has one, and I was just at his house yesterday, and he's playing. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like so warm and like bubbly and bouncy. I don't know how to you just get some crazy tones out of it.
Yeah, it sounds like it just has like all the characteristics of like what us sample makers look for in a great instrument.
Yeah. Oh, it's legendary. And then synth-wise, that's definitely first on the list. But then like tape echoes and like weird gear. Like I'm trying to get like old vintage shit and definitely more pedals, but like not like, I have like the Therme and all this stuff. It's all 44 stuff, but I don't know. There are a lot. I like the vintage stuff. I like the old phasers and the old like choruses and stuff that just don't sound right or don't sound perfect. They distort a little bit when you when you push into them too hard. And I don't know. The stuff is cool. The Thermes are cool, but it doesn't fit my brand as much anymore. So I'm looking more into like more vintage gear and just old stuff.
I love that. I love that you can even experiment and try using those pieces of gear, and you can even recognize like these are great products, but maybe it doesn't fit my sound personally. Like I'm trying to grow in a different direction that maybe it's just not resonating with me at this current moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have the microcosm, and it's super sick, but it doesn't fit my brand necessarily. Like this thing, I don't know if anyone knows about this, but I'm gonna put you guys onto some game today.
Yes.
This thing, dude, this is just cool. Like,
whoa.
For like weird percussion things. But what is the coolest is that it's got a built-in delay. It's just like a synth, like a ribbon synth, but it's got a built-in delay and filter, and you can run audio through it and use the built-in delay and filter as like a processing effect. So I will put my whole guitar chain here, through my whole like pedal chain, and I'll run it through here at the end, and it sounds like a it sounds like a fucked up like echo, like a tape delay or like something it's nuts, dude. It's like a spring reverb mixed with like a tape echo. It's crazy. It's like such a cool sound.
And what was that instrument?
Oh, sorry.
No, what was it called?
This is the Korg Monotron. It's like $40-$50 on whatever you get it from, but dude, amazing.
Putting the community on game.
I'm putting them on, and I'm putting them on for free.
Dude, I love that. Like, that's the reason I love doing these interviews, is getting those golden pieces of information and seeing something that you wouldn't have seen before, or maybe somebody discovered on their own. And then you can bring that back into your own arsenal of music.
Oh, it's great, dude. I probably got a couple of those as we go through. I'll think of some more.
Awesome.
Because I'm happy to put people on for that.
Definitely. One thing that I've done before is I have like just like this old like Panasonic like a tape recorder. It's like a cassette recorder from like 1991. I just bought it on eBay for like $60, and I'll record sounds like either I'll run it out of Ableton direct to the cassette and record it, but then when I run it out of Ableton, when I run it out of the cassette player, I'll run it through the Digitech Whammy, the pitch shifting pedal, the red one.
Oh, I don't know it.
Oh, dude, I'll show you. It's amazing. But basically, it's like a pedal that lets you do live like octave drops, 2 octave drops, like heel toe
wow.
stuff. It can do harmonizing, like up a fifth, down a fourth, whatever you want. And so what I'll do is I'll run the sample from the cassette tape through that pitch shifting pedal, drop it down like an octave, and you're getting that tape sound drop down an octave and then all warm back into Ableton.
Oh, wow.
It is sick.
That's game right there. No, I don't know about that pedal. That sounds crazy.
I'll send it to you because it's what Jack White uses. Like if you ever listen to the White Stripes, that's how he gets those octave higher sounds. That's how he even does a Seven Nation Army. That isn't like a bass. That's his guitar with the octave pitched down, and then that's how he does that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so
that's
sick.
Wild.
Yeah, people think it's a bass, but it's not. It's like actually just a pitched down guitar.
I thought it was a bass.
See, it's a dude.
Crazy.
Sharing the game for the community.
Yeah, definitely. This is good for the community.
I love that. Are you currently living off your music? And if so, how did that happen?
Yeah, I am. It's funny. I make money from sample packs here and there. Kingsway pays me and production fees and stuff. And then like in between my fillers I work for Cymatics. So I don't promote that too much just because I don't talk about it. But yeah, so that like I work for them and sell loops to them and stuff, and that helps like fund more of my like day-to-day things. And then, you know, because it's a little more consistent than waiting for whatever. I might have like $5,000 from some shit that's trying to get cleared and that's still trying to get paid for that. And that knowing that you have that there is great, but knowing that it might take 6 months to get to you isn't that great. So the Cymatic stuff kind of fills in the blanks.
Nice. That's really cool though. I mean, at the end of the day, you're making a living off of music, and that's the important thing. Yeah,
it's cool. It's I'm definitely fortunate. I forget sometimes. You know, it's easy to take for. It's easy to forget. It's easy to like, you know, this is what I wanted. This is what I asked for. You know, I wanted to be living off music, but when you're sitting in your room making samples, it's like you kind of forget sometimes. But I don't know, you just got to get out and remember what I'm doing this for, and so.
Definitely. It's better than, you know, always doing the plumbing, I'm sure.
Oh, it's better than doing plumbing. Definitely, dude. Physically, it's amazing. I will say though, there are some moments that I did enjoy in plumbing. Sometimes you feel good. You feel like you fixed something, you went and you did something and you put in your day's work and you get immediate satisfaction. Whereas in music, it's like you might make something and there's no guaranteed like answer, you know, which was nice about plumbing, I think. But dude, there's some moments that I don't miss. No, definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was a server in restaurants a long time because, you know, I've lived in Southern California my whole life. Rent is expensive, and I didn't go to college for anything like that. So it was like the highest paying job I could have without a college degree. So I was just doing that, and the money was good because I always tried to make sure I got a job at like a high-end restaurant or somewhere where like if I'm going to work, I'm making money that day. Like I don't want to be like slaving for pennies.
Yeah.
And you know, there was times that I loved, but there was definitely a lot of stressful things I don't miss.
Yeah.
Like, and now it's like I'm doing music and I'm making a living off of it, and it's not even fully from selling samples and stuff as much as I'm like working with my friends who are artists one-on-one, and they just pay me directly like song for song as we're going. And that's really fulfilling at the end of the day because I get to wake up every day. I get to have my daily routine. I don't have to go answer to somebody other than the artists I'm working with who are my close friends who I love.
Yeah. Makes it easy.
Definitely.
It's definitely nice not having a 9 to 5, you know. You see that shit on Instagram where it's like traded a 9 to 5 for 24/7. It's like, it's corny, but it's kind of true. Yeah.
It definitely is. But it's worth it, you know. As long as you're doing something that you enjoy, like life becomes easier.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you know when you were ready to release your first sample pack?
I didn't really know. I when I sent it over to Josh, it was like the manager at Kingsway. It was like, are you talking about my independent or Kingsway?
Either.
Oh, first was the Kingsway, and he was just like, these are dope, and I was like, all right, let's do it. Send me the paperwork.
Yeah.
Give me the money. No.
Yeah.
And then it just dropped, and then after that, it was like, dude, it was like at the time it felt insane to me because it was like everyone, like I had like 800 followers and then boosted like to like whatever, got like another 400 followers and like whatever happened in the time span. And yeah, it felt like a lot. It was like, and it was all important people too. So it was like everyone's hit me up, send samples. I was like, I didn't have anything prepared. I didn't know this was what it was going to be like. So I went in for the next 2 weeks and like had everyone send me their emails and made like a whole email list. And I was doing like bi-weekly samples, sending them all out. Yeah, so I kind of jumped right into the deep end there, but it was super sick. I was like, all of a sudden I went from like not really knowing what I was going to be doing to like, oh, this could work. This could do it.
This is a viable way of living.
Yeah, this will pay me.
I love that. Yeah, for me, like even though I haven't had a Kingsway release or a Drum Broker release, and my one release is independent. From that one release, because I took Al Hugg's sample class and Mario Luciano's sample class, Al like shared my pack to his story, and then he was just saying like, I'm proud of my students for like finishing a pack and releasing a pack. And then like I remember Runes, one of Al's friends, like amazing producer, like super solid dude, he just hit me up out of nowhere and was like, I remember it was like the first time seeing like a verified producer comment on my pack, and I was like, what crazy, the fuck, right? Bro? This is crazy. This feeling is wild.
Yeah. It's the greatest feeling, man. It never gets old. Well, it gets old, but you want more of it. It's like, looking back, I remember when Cardiac first followed me and I was like, it's like 50,000 followers. He produced for like her, Bryson Taylor, all the people. And I was like, no way, this is real. Dude. Cardiac just followed me and he's DMing me. I'm like, ooh, I'm famous.
I'm doing it. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, it's a great feeling. And, it just goes to show, like I said, like really building those solid relationships and friendships with producers and other sample makers. Like you never know who they're going to show it to and who will follow you and want to, mess with your music or want to work. And even through doing this podcast, like I've met a lot of sample makers who are up and coming, who are similar, who are in the same place as me. And they're reaching out and telling me, like, hey, like your podcast and what you're doing really is inspiring me to keep going and like want to do more. And I don't know, it's just beautiful. It makes me feel really happy that like I'm part of a community of people from all over the world who I've never met face to face, but they want to work together and they just want to build.
It's great knowing that you can inspire someone. You didn't get that in serving tables or waiting tables, and you don't get that in plumbing. Like knowing that you inspired someone, even if that's all that you get out of it, is like, dude, that feeling is like,
it's priceless.
Amazing. Yeah, really, it's great.
I agree. How do you stay inspired musically and creatively?
So I gotta get out of the house. Mostly is just like seeing things, and I listen to a decent amount of music, so just listening, and I listen to a lot of like old soul stuff, and I just go through like the soul playlist. I don't even know what I'm listening to most of the time. I'm just like putting on, just going. But getting out, man, I like to go on walks. I like to like go on hikes. It's just good for me to like see different scenes. If I see different people, hear different people's stories, it's just like anything other than like the day-to-day same thing. It's just inspiring. It doesn't even always have to be music based. It's just like as long as I have something that feels fresh in my mind, then I'll be able to create something.
I agree. Those walks are so essential for me, bro. I go on like four walks a day. Like I just go and go out. Yeah, it's nice where I live. I live like kind of in Palm Springs area, so it's hot in the summer, but a lot of the times it's like 8 months of paradise, 4 months of hell.
Yeah.
So, but it's nice. We have a lot of like really good hikes and like stuff that I get to go on. And I remember even when I was talking to Oscar Zulu, he was telling me how him and his wife, like the thing that really helps him like cool down and unwind and get recharged is they go and like stay in like a cabin in the woods, and they'll go hike, and that's where he gets a lot of the inspiration like on his sample packs. Like recently there's like a bear on volume 7. The pack before that there's like a cardinal, and he was talking about how being in nature and seeing the cardinal and then researching like kind of like what the cardinal represents inspired him for his pack.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be music things. A lot of the time it's not. It's like you just go and you experience different things, and as weird as it might sound, it's just like it'll inspire you. Just like seeing different scenes and meeting different people and hearing different stories, it'll inspire you. So it's not always music based.
Yeah,
But that's cool. That's Oscar, man. Oscar's got it down. He's also, I remember him. I think he was laying tile, if he still is. I don't know if he was doing that, but I think last time we were like trade brothers. You know, it was like I was in the plumbing trade. Derek 44 was actually a HVAC guy, so we all had that little connection there. It feels good, man. It's like when you find out someone else was in the trades.
It's true. Yeah, he's working construction right now, but he told me because he has a baby due, I think, in April, and so he's transitioning to full-time music making and like kind of full-time dad life in April. And
wow,
it's gonna be. I'm excited. You know, he's gonna be doing the whole father thing, doing the good husband thing, but then now he's gonna have while he is gonna be splitting time with the baby, obviously, but he's gonna be going headfirst into music, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, that's good, man. I don't know too much about him, but the conversation we've had have been good. So he seems like a cool guy.
Definitely a solid dude.
Yeah.
What are some unorthodox ways you've made music before?
Oh, dude, one of my favorite ones that I did a song for this guy named Surf. I think his name's Surf Skirt. I don't know, but the song's fucking sick. I was at my grandma's house, and she had like this old piano in her house, and I didn't have a mic, and we're moving everything out, so the house was like kind of empty. Not a huge house, but it was like super echoey and boomy, and I was playing the piano, and I didn't have a mic, but I had my phone, and I recorded this one thing. I was like, dum bum 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 bum. If you know that, you'll see the sample on my page, but I had this idea on piano, these big like chords, like big orchestral kind of chords, and I was like, I heard it echoing in the room. I was like, this sounds sick, but I can't capture it with my phone. So I put my phone close to the piano, recorded it once close to the piano, and then put my phone like in the other room as far as I could away, and tried to like do it at the same tempo, the same everything, and almost as if it was like two mics, like a room mic and a
close mic
and a close up. Yeah, so they weren't perfect, but I think that's what added to it. So when I came into Ableton later, I put them together, and I warped them to line up and like sync, which made it sounds like super dirty and grungy, and the piano and like the room piano sounded like shitty, but it was great, dude. And then putting them together, warping them and making them fit right. Oh, it was like super dark. Just that was probably one of my cooler ones that I've done that was like a little more unorthodox.
That's amazing. Like, yeah. That's so cool. And I love that you weren't even afraid to do the time stretching and like make it fit, and just even having that inspiration and following that whole inspiration all the way through. You're like, you know, you're helping your grandma move, you play the keys, and you're like, it hits right there.
Hold on, Grandma. I gotta. Your movie needs to wait. I don't care about your back if your back's blown out, Grandma.
I love it. No, and it came out great. And then it turned into a song for somebody, and it just shows you. It's like, it's just following your inspiration, following your joy, and you don't know where it's gonna end up.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. What are some of the strangest places you've gathered inspiration from when you're making music? We kind of touched on it a little bit, but.
Man, I've been underneath houses, plumbing. I've been under, and had like pulled my phone out and been like, I've been like, man, I took a road trip. I wouldn't say this is like strange, but when I drove cross country from New York to LA, and the whole way, I was just voice noting things, and a lot of them actually turned into like samples like that I made, and good samples, I think, and songs. And I was just like, I remember driving through the Rockies and like singing this I don't know if I can play the sample anyway, but I was like singing this whole like voice thing, and I ended up coming back, and when I came back to my computer here, I was like, oh, this is like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this work or how I'm gonna voice this out, but it was a long sample, but it ended up being pretty cool, and I was pretty proud of it. But yeah, so just like going cross country through the Rockies, through Arizona, all that stuff, man, super inspiring.
See, tells right there, dude. Get out. Sample makers, get out of the room a little bit. Don't make music always 100% of the time, like, and you'll come back with some of the best samples of your life.
Exactly. You take a day off and go on a hike, and man, I went on a hike the other day up at Switzer Falls, is a place up in like 30 minutes north of me. It's a beautiful waterfall. I was super stoked. I was like gonna go on a hike. Sorry, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I was gonna go on a hike. I was like, yeah, man, I'll get inspired. I got to get out of the house a little bit. I've been doing too much time looking at the screen. Park my car, go do the hike, come back 2 hours later, and my car was broken into, dude. I was like, oh, so hurt. So I was so ready for a nice, inspiring moment. I came back like, boom, bomb, dude. Totally destroyed.
Yeah, it happened. It happens though.
It happens, but it's those. Yeah, now I move on, man.
That's how you bounce back.
That's beyond. That's. There was no inspiration there. That was yeah. But
no, but you went out with the intention of just unwinding and all that, and
exactly.
Sometimes shit happens. But
Yeah,
like I
shit
said,
happens.
if you frame things like one thing that I've been just trying to do more and more is just framing things as positive, even if it's a weird situation like that where you're like somebody broke into my car. Like I shouldn't be happy right now, but just framing it like this is happening for a good reason. I don't know what it is, but it's gonna be for the best.
No, I agree with that. I think it's at first when it first happens, you're like, oh, like, God damn it, why did this shit happen? But I don't know. Now it's like if my car gets broken into again, it's whatever. It's happened. I know what to do. I can figure it out. I can get my lock changed. I can go do it. I can get the window changed. Whatever I got to do. It's definitely for a good reason. It's definitely for a better purpose.
Yes. And I feel like you're always moving at the perfect pace. You never in life, you're never going too fast or too slow. It's like everything's happening at the right timing, even when you feel like it's not.
Yeah. I agree.
How did you first connect with some of the artists you're working with now?
Well, a lot of them, like, I'm not working with like crazy, like I'm not too like tied in with artists like crazy right now. It's more producers, but the artists that I like consistently work with are like people that I've known since before sample making, and like just was like doing beats with them and just like really like close homies, because I haven't been like super tapped in with like, I'm trying to think if there's any artists that I'm like really working with right now, but there's no one crazy. But a lot of the stuff has just been like connections like through other producers that it's just been like they put me on or like get me in the room and say, oh, you'd be perfect for this person, and connect me. But otherwise before that it was just like people that were just like just fucking with my beats.
Yeah. How about some of the producers that you're working with?
Producers I'm working with, you want to like who are the producers I'm working with, or like how did I get in touch with them?
Both. Some of the ones that you work with regularly, and like how'd you kind of build that connection?
Yeah. So, man, I spent a lot of time with 44th, the 44th floor. We hang, we just pretty much kick it. We're just like good friends. I've known him for a couple months, and then when I moved out here, he invited me up to like his homie's house, and he's got a little studio up in the hills, and we just like met and we just worked, and then we just like hang out all the time. So we spent a lot of time together. Go over to my friend Jay Century's house. I spent a lot of time, well, not a lot of time, but I spent time at the Split Mind spot and the Wallace Lane spot they have a spot over in Santa Monica. So they got a bunch of people there. They got like 12 guys, and then Wallace Lane. It's good. That's a good creative spot to be. They're always working. Yeah, other than that, just kind of doing a lot of stuff at home, trying to like reach out a little more, just figuring out where I'm going next, if I want to step more into the artist direction or keep going with samples. But a lot of it is like, I like collaboration, but I also like to do things a very specific way. So it's hard to like, when people are like, let's work, or like, let's, I got starters. It's like, it's hard for me to like flesh out and finish those ideas, or because I just like my things a certain way.
I agree. I'm super similar to that. Like, I feel like it's hard for me to kind of work on starters, because a lot of the times, like even the starters I've been sent before, like they almost feel pretty much fleshed out. And it's like, I don't really know what I'm going to add to this. Like, like I know you want to work together, but I don't really know what I'm going to add. But the thing that always works for me is like I have a good friend, Spaceboy Uno, his name's Sebastian. But Bass is one of my close friends. I see him almost every day. He lives a couple blocks away. And he's one of the few people that, like, when we work together in the studio, like, we just, like, catch a vibe. I don't know. I think it's because we're good friends. So, and it's even cooler because for when we were even first, like, kind of making samples together, he came from more of, like, a rapping background. Like, he's, like, a rapper, singer, artist. Mm-hmm. And then started picking up instruments. Like, he's only been playing guitar, like, 7 months or 6 months or something.
Okay.
But But when we're in the studio together, like he helped me pretty much make a lot of the samples. Like my whole pack is pretty much a collaboration with him.
Yeah.
Like, and even if it wasn't necessarily him playing instruments on everything, just having him in the room and like listening to my samples and being like, is this ass or gas? Like, what is this? You know?
Ass or gas.
Yeah. And so he'd help. And I just love that, like, when you're connected with the right people, like, it can make things great. But I totally understand, like, wanting to do things your own way, because I'm super, super detail oriented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good when you can you can be honest with someone. When you can be like when I'm with 44, it's like, dude, yeah, this sucks, or like, dude, this is great. Like, it's good when you can scrap an idea or keep working on an idea. Sometimes when it's like when you're like don't really know the person and you're just both are like trying to figure out like, do they like this? Do I don't really like this, or is this good? Like, but so finding that connection with like on a human level is the most important thing.
I agree 100% with that.
Yeah.
What are your daily habits sort of like? You know, kind of like, when do you wake up? When do you go to bed? When do you start creating music?
I usually wake up around like 7:30ish. I like to like jump rope in the morning, just like 15 minutes, nothing crazy, but just to like get some blood flow going. And then I'll come in and I'll shower, stretch a little bit. My girlfriend's a dancer, so she'll do like, sometimes we'll do like stretch classes. She'll like FaceTime me and she'll do like a whole little thing. It's good because I got back issues, so she helps me out with that.
I got back issues too, brother.
Right? You know, man, it's terrible, but the stretching helps. So I just spend my time on that, and then make breakfast. Usually get going around like 10 o'clock. I'll start making music. Go for like as long as I can. My roommate will get back sometimes around like 3 from like work or something. Sometimes we'll get bubble tea or go out and just like get out a little bit. And then come back, start working at like 4 again, and I'll go from like 4 to... when I'm just working by myself, I can go all day, so I'll just go from like 4 to make some dinner. I'll just go all night, 4 to 12, 1. I go to bed at like 1. I don't need like too much sleep, so I go to bed at like 1, get up at 7:30ish, around there. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, that sounds like a really good rhythm and healthy rhythm, and, you know, you still make time to have days where you go on a hike, or like, you know, do you feel like days off from music are important as well?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard though. It's hard because sometimes I feel guilty. It's like, I want to do music. I feel like I should be doing music, but it's like at some point I'll just be sitting here trying to polish a turd, you know, like I won't have anything like, it's just like, it's just garbage coming out. I'm like, all right, I need to take a break. So just knowing how to take those breaks before you get like, because all of a sudden it'll be like 1:30 and you'll be like, well, I've just been working on nonsense for the past like 3 hours. I should have just taken the day to myself and, you know, figured out what I was going to do.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. The balance is important. And do you take like ear breaks frequently when you're working on music?
Like quick little breaks, you know, lunch and stuff, or like little moments when something's bouncing. I'll like look at my phone for a second, text a few people, and then I don't really need like a crazy break, especially when I'm like invested in it. Then it's like, because I'm not doing like 10 samples a day, like loop 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 loop. Unless I'm working for Cymatics, then I'll do a little bit more. But it's more of like a detailed process, so it takes a little bit of time. So I'm into it. I'm like head first.
Nice. Yeah, one thing for me is like I had to really kind of start taking more frequent kind of ear breaks, and not even like necessarily to let my ears relax, but kind of like recharge my battery for a little bit. I remember seeing like a video where there's like this professor and he's talking about like every 30 or 25 minutes, take like a 5-minute break, like listen to a song, like, you know, go on your phone, like do something that's actually fun, because if you do something fun in those 5 minutes, it doesn't take a 30-minute break to get like 30 minutes of productivity out of yourself.
Yeah.
And he was showing how like over a 6-hour period, you know, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, over a 6-hour period, you'll get 5.5 hours of super solid work. And then this little 30-minute break, and you'll be like, it'd be like you operated at optimum level the whole time.
Yeah. That's genius.
Yeah.
Start trying that a little more. Yeah. Sometimes it'd be like, you'll take like a 30-minute break and it's useless. You just be like, fucking around. But
you lose the juice.
Yeah, you lose the juice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you smoke or drink alcohol or coffee or anything when you're creating?
Nope. I don't smoke. I drink like rarely. Only like when I'm with like my girl, really. But that's like rare. I don't really see her too much because she's in New York. But I don't drink coffee. I don't have any things that I really do. I drink tea once in a while, but it's not like because I need it. It's just like, just tastes good, so I'll drink it. Sometimes it makes me feel a little classy having some tea.
Yes, sir.
But no,
Definitely.
I don't. I like to have water. Make sure I'm loaded up on water.
And that's really good. And I'm somebody like, I always ask that in my interviews because it's surprising to see like the correlation between how many like successful sample makers who have clarity in their mind. Like there's a big correlation between the fact that they don't smoke, they don't drink. Maybe some of them drink coffee, but a majority like aren't smoking weed every day. They're not drinking alcohol every day. Like they're really taking care of themselves.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I just can't get behind it all the way. But
I agree. Typically, from the time inspiration strikes you, or you like find a sound, how long does it take before you have a finished idea or sample?
Lately it's been longer. Lately it's been 3-4 hours because I'll find something and I'll just go down the rabbit hole. But I'd say like back in the day, like when I was first starting samples, I could bang them out in like an hour. But they weren't as detailed and they weren't as like, I don't think they were as like, they didn't feel as important to me. Like now it's like I try to make these samples with intent. Like I'm trying to make songs. I'm trying to make them sound like they were actually written and recorded in the 60s or the 70s. Like I want everything about it to like feel right. So it takes me a little bit more time. Even if sometimes I'll just start with like a drone or like a tape loop with something like ding, 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 like something. But yeah, probably like 3-4 hours.
Nice. No, that's good. And it's good because you're taking the time to really put in the details.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't always feel worth it sometimes because I'm like, what am I doing this for? Like, I have like 32 stacks of vocals. I'm like, I don't know if this is even flip. Like, no one's going to be able to flip this. But I'm like, this is fun. I'm just doing it. So
I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I love that. About how long does it take you to put a sample pack together, and how do you know when it's finished?
I could probably do a sample pack of like 15 samples in, if I was really going for it, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, because I want them to be good. Because I'd probably have like, there'd be a bunch of samples in between that I'd kind of throw away. I'd probably have like, I could probably do 2 weeks and have 15 samples. I'd start with like 25 and probably take out the shittier ones and either reflip them or just kind of put them into beats or something. Yeah. And then, well, sorry, the second half of the question was how do I decide?
How do you know when it's done?
No. That's hard. That's a hard one because I could always put more shit into my samples, but it gets to a point where it's like, all right, no one's gonna be able to flip this, so I got to leave space for something. I'll try to test them with the. I'll like re-record them and resample them and put drums over them, and if I feel like it has a good bounce or if it can pass the test, then I'll be done. I don't know though. That's definitely a tough question because they're all different.
Do you have like kind of like a certain structure or format you like to do when you're making samples? Like I know some people, will like stack, like they'll just kind of start with like an 8-bar loop and they'll stack as much as they can, and then they'll kind of take things away horizontally after they stacked it vertically. Do you like to have like different sections in those kind of things where maybe certain instruments that weren't even there in the A section come in like a B section?
Yeah, it depends on the vibe I'm doing. If I'm going for like soul, old like stuff, I try to keep in the form that a soul song would be in or old set. Like, so I try to keep it all live instruments and everything, like just how a soul song would sound. But if I'm going for like something weird and a little bit more like futuristic, I'll definitely have sections. I'll usually start with just like a main melody and then try to keep that chord progression, and maybe I'll like reharmonize different chords over it, or have like I find if I have a drone loop going, I can like play other chords over it, but I try to switch it up so that it's not like, all right, I have this whole sample, there's a bass, and in the B part I'm going to take out the bass and I'm going to take out this. I like to like have it and then have it switch and have different parts of the sample. That way if people don't really like this first part of the sample, they can still have a similar vibe but use the second part of the sample. It's a little more work, but it's worth it, I think.
I like that. Like, because for me, you know, I feel like that's kind of like a stage you go through as a sample maker where you figure out how much you could stack vertically, and then you start going horizontally, and then maybe from there you'll start adding, like, you know, if you take out certain instruments, now there's room for something else. But yeah. I'm trying to move towards more like having like a little 2-bar intro melody thing that's just there for the beginning. Then you have like kind of like a verse section, then like a chorus section where things maybe change chord progressions or switch up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely more time consuming. Like if I'm in a session, I'm not gonna be able to do that just because it takes like a little more thought and stuff. But I think it's worth it to have different parts. Like this one sample I put like a whole vamp in the beginning where it just like stayed on like the 5 chord the whole time for like 4 bars, and then some people will be like, "Dude, what is this?" But then you wait and it drops into the 1, and then it's like, boom! You didn't know that shit was coming.
Yep, there's the payoff.
There's the payoff. You just had to listen to the 5 chord for 4 bars, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's pointless. No one might use that part. I don't think anyone will use that part. But to me, it feels like there's something behind this. It feels like a song now.
How's your music theory kind of knowledge? Like, I know you went to Berkeley, so it's probably pretty deep.
It's good. I'm not like the smartest Berkeley music theory dude, but I understand it. They put you through the whole thing, you know. The first 2 years is like you have to do your harmony classes, your ear training classes. So they throw you in. I remember first year when I got there is like the first semester you have to do your first 4 semesters you have to do ear training, and the teacher gives you like a piece of paper or whatever, some music, and she's like, all right, now stand up and sing it, and like in front of the whole class you're doing like solfege in front of like singing this shit, and there's like 20 kids looking at you, and at first like few classes you're like, oh, I hate this, but then you just get used to it. So my music theory knowledge is definitely more than the average music producer, but it's not a necessity, but it helps.
Yes, I perfectly said. It's not a necessity, but it helps.
Yeah.
When are the times you find yourself having the most fun in the studio?
When there's good people. I feel like the best music is made when it's a good hang. Like when you're there in the studio, and it's weird in the hip hop world because it can be a lot of like politics and a lot of like business, and sometimes you find yourself in a session where it's like you might not be like, I don't know, it's just weird. People look down on the producer sometimes, or if I've seen videos of like people in session with like Lil Keed or like all like this Atlanta rappers where it's just weird. It's weird vibes, and you're not gonna make good music if they're not even treating you like you exist. So if you're in there and you're hanging and you're laughing and you're like, you make sure you take some time to like set the scene a little bit. That's when the best music comes out, I think.
I agree 100% with that.
Yeah.
What would you say is your signature sound if you had to define it?
Recently, it's been more about like vocal stacking and like vintage guitars, fuzzy guitar, everyone that listens to my samples and like hears my music describes it as like very warm and musical. They're like, I heard it like probably like 10 different people say like it's very musical. They're like, you're very musical. And I'm like, all right, like whatever you mean by that. Yeah, whatever that means. Thanks. But like it's very warm and it's very musical, which is what I hear the most about my samples.
No, that's definitely well said. I was listening to your Kingsway Volume 2 pack, and then there's a sample like in the preview towards the end of it, just super fuzzy guitars, and I was like, it really hit me like Jimi Hendrix, like Led Zeppelin, like that nostalgic, like just gritty vibe that I love.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you some of the newer stuff that I just did. After this, I'll send you that pack, and you'll understand.
I'm excited, bro. Thank you for
Yeah,
blessing
yeah.
me with that.
Yeah, of course, dude.
See, it's community, man. Like, and it's funny, man. I can't even tell you how many people like have reached out to me, and they're just like, "Hey, like I found your podcast. Like I love your stuff," and just that genuine reaching out and appreciation. I'm like, dude, I'll send you the pack right now. Like,
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
you.
it's the best thing, dude. Some people will be like, what's $15 to me to like if someone will buy my pack? It's whatever, man. I'm not looking for the money from that. Like, if you're cool and you're like, reach out to me and you're very interested and you're like, I don't care if you have like 10 followers. If you're like, dude, I love your music. I just want to like work. Boom, send it. The people that are like, yo, send samples. It's all right, dude. I don't care who you are. I'm not sending you anything.
That'd be like, just meeting somebody randomly on the street, and they're just like, "Give me $50 out of your wallet." You're
Yes.
like, "I don't know you. What the hell?
Yeah, who
Like,
are you?
But if your friend's like, "Hey, like, I'm kind of going through a rough spot. Like, I really could use this," and you know them personally, you're like more willing to help.
Yeah, like definitely, man. I got you. Even some like a stranger. Like I love when kids hit me up, or I just assume they're kids, I guess. But they'll be like, "Man, super inspiring." Like when I was a plumber, there, dude. I guess there was some other plumbers that followed me. This dude from Germany. He's like, "I'm a plumber from Germany, man. Just you're super inspiring to know that I can do it too." It's like it's funny that there's other people out here that are really looking up to me. Would have never thought.
It's a beautiful thing, man. Like,
Yeah.
That's the shit that makes life worth living right there.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
All right, we'll move on to my For the Nerds section. This is kind of like the more technical kind of side of stuff, plugins and those sort of things.
Okay.
What are some of your most regularly used plugins?
Man, Echo Boy. Echo Boy is legendary. I think this dude named Julian, his name's Rarely, the student, he's a sample maker from Toronto, but he put me on to like, so if you take the Echo Boy and you go through the presets and you go down to like vocal effects or sound design and you just put it right on your track, you get like, and you just go through all the presets, dude, there's some insane presets that just like fuck with everything. And then I'm about to spill the sauce. This is sauce, dude. So I will put Echo Boy on my master. I think it's sauce. I'll put the mix to 100, put the time down to 0 milliseconds. And then you can scroll through on the bottom right, there's like the style. So there's like master tape, there's studio tape or whatever. There's all the different types of like, I don't know what you would really call them.
They're kind of like the delay units.
Yeah, kind of. And so there's like transmitter, there's like telephone. If you go down to like limited and distressed, you put that on your master, and if you're doing like soul samples and old, like I probably use that on some of the drum breaks, dude, it like squashes it, and like it's like a really bad limiter almost in a way. I'm pretty sure it's what Beat Butcher does on his shit, because like, so if you have like a whole sample and there's a lot of noise going on in the background, like tape noise or something, and you put that limiter Echo Boy on the thing on the master, dude, as soon as you like play like a bass note or something with a lot of like transient energy, everything like ducks out and it makes like this crazy like, dude, it like cuts out like it cuts out all the noise, but it just feels so like fucked up, like it feels like really warm and right, but it also feels like if you had like if you just had like an old cassette where the shit's so fucked up, like it's been pulled out, it's been crinkled, it's been put back in. It's not like a super noticeable effect. It's not like putting RC20 where there's like vibe, but dude, if you're messing with that thing right, it's legendary.
Thank you for sharing that, bro.
Yeah, there's definitely some more. Lately I haven't been using the weird plugins as much, just because I'm going for more organic sound. So I just use like the Outer Space by Audio Things. Outer Space. It's just like a tape. It's like an echo plugin. That's cool. Springs audio. Everything by Audio Thing is amazing. Springs by Audio Thing. Wires by Audio Thing. Wires on a Rhodes. Out of here. Sounds
Next
great,
level.
dude. Yeah. You get the Contact Scarby Rhodes or whatever it's called in Contact. You put that thing on there, man, it sounds like it sounds like super vintage, super a little distorted, a little bit crunchy.
But we like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that. What are your most regularly used instruments or pieces of gear that you have?
I use my electric a lot. I have a Telecaster. I'm not that great at guitar. I got this guitar like more than a year ago now. I think I got it for Christmas last year, but I learned like the basic structures, whatever, of minor, major, diminished, and dominant. And I just move them around. But I use that, my Strat a lot. I mean, my Telecaster a lot. I have a nylon here that I use a lot for like my more like Spanish things, and I'll just like layer.
Yeah.
That. And then my gear wise, what I use a lot. That's it. So this. Actually, hold on. Let me get them all here first, so I can.
Yeah. No worries.
Get my ducks in order. So gear-wise, for my guitar sound, I'll go through the tube screamer first, the mini tube screamer. Great. This is like how I get like my warm guitar sound for like super like chunky like soul stuff, like palm muted stuff, and that kind of stuff. This tube screamer into the
Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail reverb. There's a spring, there's a hall setting, and there's a flanger reverb, which is super sick. I usually keep it on spring. It sounds super real. It sounds super authentic at a low level. Once you crank it up to high, it sounds messed up. But and then this, which is like I bought it on Facebook Marketplace for like just dumb cheap, dude. I bought it in like I bought a bunch of pedals for like $50, and this was one of them. It's just a tremolo. It's just like an LFO on volume and affects like the volume, so it sounds like an old amp, because like the amps used to have tremolo and spring reverb and all that stuff. They still do, I guess. And then once in a while I'll run it through the Fairfield shallow oneer. This is like the, I think 44 was talking about it last time. It's like the RC20 of
guitar pedals.
Yeah, it's got like a gate in it, and it's got a weird like filter gate. So like, imagine if it was like a filter, like an auto filter with an envelope on it. So the harder you hit, the more the filter opens, and it's kind of like it's got a gate on it, like so that when noise ducks down too low, it kind of cuts off. It's got a weird effect, and then it's got, I mean, sure everyone knows this, you can watch the tutorials, but it's got like depth and modulation, so you can mess with the pitch and stuff. Oh yeah, last one is my wah pedal.
Nice. Manly.
Is it Morley?
That's Morley. I couldn't see it from here. Morley.
Yeah, Morley. Bad Horsey 2 contour wah. Yeah, this sometimes I won't even mess with, like I'll just keep it pressed, and it gives it like a weird tone. Like it puts it through some sort of filter. I'm not really sure what it does. What kind of filter it puts it through, but it is sick.
Dude, I just realized this is under my desk right here. Hold on. This is what I was talking about.
Oh yeah, hold on, let me see it.
It's the Digitech Whammy.
Oh wow.
So it's got like octave, fifth, it has like either a harmonizer or there's like a actual pitch shifting under the whammy section. And
it sounds good? It sounds like legit?
Stupid good.
Really?
Stupid good. Like no stretching, no artifacts. Like
wow.
Like I have a ukulele over there, like an electric ukulele.
Mm-hmm.
I've ran the ukulele through it, pitched it down an octave, and then it sounds like a koto, like a Japanese koto.
Oh, wow.
Freaking wild, bro.
Is it like live time, or is there a little bit of latency?
No, it's like on it, because there's
insane.
There's multiple versions. You know, they like redo it every couple years and update it, and the one that I have, like the newer one, is fucking clean, bro.
I gotta get that. How much is that?
$250.
Oh, that's not terrible. Sorry,
no,
that's not terrible.
Not at all. Let me see. I think. Oh, and then this is the other secret sauce. Whammy pedal wise, this is the Ibanez WH10. And the reason I like this whammy pedal is on the side, there's like a depth knob, so you can like decide how deep you want the wah, like how much resonance kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it also has a bass or a guitar setting.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of does different frequency ranges depending on what setting you have it on. So you can run like a synth through it, throw it on the bass setting and get more of the lows and get like a low wah. Or if you're like running it on some of the higher keys, like through a Rhodes, you could flick it to the guitar setting and then obviously adjust the resonance.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Those are my two favorites. I got the whammy pedal idea from Jack White, and then I got the Ibanez WH10. That's what John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers uses. That's like how he gets his signature wah sound.
Yeah, that's sick. I gotta get this one. Yeah, I don't really know much about. This is my first like wah pedal. I don't really know much about them, but this was just like one of the ones I bought in a bunch of pedals. But I gotta get hip because this one's like cool, but it's not that great.
I'll send you a website. There's like a website where it's like musicians gear or something where basically you can like find like different artists from different bands and somebody has already done like a rig rundown of all the shit they use.
That's sick.
And with like links to purchase all the pedals and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are the essential elements that you gravitate towards when you're making a sample?
Lately it's been different. Just doing like soul, like obviously the more soul stuff and more like vintage stuff. It's been a lot of vocals. I put a lot of vocals in my stuff and a lot of like stacked harmonies. I'm starting with like a lot of the times I'm starting with just like guitar or like it's because a lot of the stuff is not like I'm not really using so much like plugins or like virtual instruments anymore. But I've been really going in with the vocals lately, stacking them and I like to do it like I like to make it sound like vintage, but also make it feel like it's like a little bit. There's something that's just a little bit different. So like I don't know, like I'll put in like. I'll use the outer space audio things like tape echo plugin and tape delay plugin, and I'll like turn up the intensity, like crank it so that it's feedbacking into itself a lot, and then I'll like cut it off like 0 from 100 to a 0, and like that it sounds like organic and like and vintage because it's a tape delay plugin, but like you would never have something like that in the vintage setting where it would just go from 100 to just cut off. So I like to have vintage elements, but put in like new age things.
Blending the two.
I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. I like to keep it like like warm and organic, but also put in things that wouldn't have been there, like super fuzzy guitar. But then all of a sudden, cut out. It's like silence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something that you couldn't necessarily get live all the time.
Yeah, yeah. But it sounds live until like the second one it stops, and you're like, oh, that's cool. That feels like it's something I've heard before, but it's different.
It's authentic to you.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you play all the instruments that you hear in your sample packs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not like great at any instrument. I understand the theory, which I think helps. So I like piano and stuff. I can get the idea out, and then like I'll write the notes in. Guitar, I'm getting better at. Guitar seems to be a little easier for me because I can just like bar chord a lot of things, and you can just move around. And once you understand like the structure, it sounds like good. I feel like guitar sounds good like all over the neck. But, like piano, when you're like jumping chord to chord, like blocking them, it doesn't sound as good. Like I feel like you have to voice lead them a little better, which is harder for me. Like trying to think about like the chords note by note rather than like structure.
Same. What are some of your favorite ways to transform or reshape a sound?
A lot of the Echo Boy stuff. So I'll run it through Echo Boy, and I'll do like go through the vocal effects presets or like the sound design presets, and a lot of times I'll just bounce it out, re-record the master, and then I'll like pitch shift it. I'll either throw it in a sample and in a sampler and chop it up. So I have like different sections of the sample. Yeah, a lot of pitch shifting, a lot of like I'm not too big on the reversing. I feel like there was a time for that, but it kind of that time kind of came and went. So I don't do too much reversing anymore. But yeah, a lot of like rebouncing my stuff, like just committing to like, once I have something, I don't know, it's not going to be perfect, but if I commit to it, I'll just bounce it out and then manipulate a sample. And then guitar rig is super cool if you throw that on a sample and then bounce it out. And I learned from my friend Mito, he's like, dude, just put something on it, don't even listen to it, and just bounce it out. He's like, and then you're like, it might limit you, but it'll leave you like, it could leave you with something really cool.
Definitely. That's really smart. Like just committing and just trying something new.
Yeah, because if you keep your MIDI or keep your everything, like your plugins, dude, you're gonna be like fussing with it for days. Like if you just commit to it and just say, this is what I got, just as if you were like recording live in the studio and it's like, this is all you got, this is what you're stuck with, so you got to make it work, because otherwise you get too clouded thinking about every little detail you could do, every little plugin you could put on it.
I agree. You just end up setting, dry wet. Is 28% sound good or 29%
yeah,
sound
you're like,
good?
yeah, it's like pointless. Yeah.
What are some of the most underrated or slept on plugins or gear in your opinion? You showed me the one hardware piece of gear that was amazing, that Korg thing.
Yeah.
Anything else that is like slept on or anything?
Super
like that?
slept on. Trying to think about gear wise. That I have in the studio. The DeepMind is a synth I use. Is definitely a little slept on. It's a good synth for like beginners. Like the DeepMind 12 is actually a pretty solid synth. It's supposed to emulate the Juno. I think the Juno 60. So that's definitely a little slept on, but it's like people hate on it in the synth community because it's Behringer and all that stuff. But it's cool. Plugin wise, what's slept on? I do feel like people are sleeping on a lot of the audio thing plugins. Like I said, wires and speakers and those are great plugins, and they're cheap too. They're like $50. Or not cheap, I guess, but just not expensive. Man, sleeping on. I want to like almost go through and see. I don't know. Man, I feel like there's something that I can think of. Might have to bounce back to that one. But
okay.
Other than that, I'm going to say my tops right now, the Korg Monotron delay and ribbon synth, the DeepMind, and the Audio Thing plugins.
Beautiful. And what is some secret sauce you wish you had known earlier on when you started out making music?
Secret sauce. I wish it's not so much about I wish I'd known more, like it's not so much about like the music and it's more about like the relationships and stuff. But it's also, it's about that a lot too. But it's tough. I wish I don't know. Music wise, like playing wise, like in sample making wise, I wish I had known more about like, it's more about like the emotion that you put into the sample and not so much like every little detail that you put in. Like if I'm playing a guitar and the note isn't perfect, but it sounds like cool, keep it. Like that's part of the texture. I wish I had known that a little bit more, that rather than like trying to go in and make sure everything's perfect, to quantize and everything. Make it with a little bit of like variation and make sure it's not perfect. That's what I wish I had known starting. And then like on the business side, just like nothing's that important. Nothing's like, I think when I first started, I was like stressing myself out, making sure everyone, this is right, and people need to know that I'm doing this, and I need to like get my samples out. If I don't send them out today, it's over. Like I'm not gonna, then people aren't gonna fuck with me. But it doesn't matter. The connections don't go anywhere. So I think that's an important thing to know, is like, if you're making good music, those connections won't go anywhere unless you're burning bridges. But that's a different topic. But those connections don't go anywhere.
It's true, man. That's
people are afraid.
Well said.
People are afraid to like take a break and like step back for a second because they think that it might,
affect their business.
Yeah, but it doesn't, man. You come right back and people are still fucking with you 6 months later. You could go missing for 6 months and people will be like, come back and send them samples, be like, T.Y. Jake, the GOAT.
Yeah. It's like you never left.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll move on to my final 5. These are my last 5 questions. They could be one sentence or one word if you want them to be. They don't have to be very long.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if you want to elaborate, you can. What is something you wish more people did in their music?
I wish people put more time into their music.
Definitely.
Just more thought into it. And there's too many people making the same records, too many people making the same samples. I wish there was more people put more thought into it. Yeah.
I agree. Where do you see music going in the next 5 years?
I hope we get out of the hip hop phase we're in. I'm not like hating on it, but it's getting really repetitive. So I hope we kind of move more towards. I want to go a little more musical. I want to like step out of like. I want people to start going more towards melodies and more towards. Like I don't want like these 2-bar loops of the same loop. Like they're cool, but it's gonna get old for sure. I want you think about like the classics. Like I was listening to Bob Marley the other day, and I was like, dude, who's making music like this? Like, this is insane. I want music to, like, I'm not hating on the modern music. I still love a good Gunna record. Like, I love blasting the shit, but I want to be able to, like, get back to where it's like real music, where it feels like it's there's really something of substance to it.
I agree. What would you say is the best way for a sample maker to improve their samples?
Listen to a lot of music. Remake. I remade samples. Starting off, I remade beats. Listen to your favorite samples and like remake them. I think that's the most important thing, and people don't do it enough because you can't learn it if you don't know it. Like, there's this thing, like you can't. How does it go? It's something like you have to learn the rules so you can break the rules. Like you have to figure it out. That way you can learn how to unfigure it out,
Yes.
So you have to like learn how to do these samples and how to make them how industry, like at an industry level, and then realize, okay, I don't need to do all this. I could do it that way and that way and that way. But remaking samples, remaking beats is super important. I think that helps a lot. I remade so many beats, which helped with like sample making and like listening and just listening to a ton of music.
I agree 100% with that, brother.
Yeah.
What is the worst advice you've ever received?
Worst advice. No one's ever told me to not do music, so that's good. The worst advice? Oh. I don't think it's music related. It's probably like...
It's more like a life thing?
Yeah, it's more like a life thing. That's a hard question. I can't think of what the worst advice someone's ever given me. I'm sure people have pointed me in the wrong direction of like in the music business, like people trying to point me towards the direction of like just like the money business direction is like people try to like get you to go down that rabbit hole of like you gotta do this for this and make the placement and make sure you DM and make sure everything's right. Like I think that, but no one's ever given me like bad advice or the worst advice. I can't think of that.
That's okay. That's an answer in and of itself.
Yeah.
And my final question for you is, what is the best advice you've ever received, whether that's in music or in life? It's
been recently, like going to other people's studios. I talk to them, and I'll be like I was at this dude Pilot Kid's studio the other day, and it's good to get reassurance from people because sometimes it feels like you're doing this like all alone. It feels like this isn't necessarily advice, I guess, but everyone that is doing music is going through the same thing. No one's like, I'm sure you understand. Everyone's like, there's moments when you're like, oh, dude, should I keep doing this? Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I working towards? Like, it feels like it's meaningless. But I think the best advice, I guess, it's not really advice, but it's that everyone's going through it. Everyone's in music is like, it doesn't stop. It's so you just got to keep working with it. There's definitely everyone's going through the same shit, which is like has put a lot of things into perspective for me.
Yeah.
I'm not like the only one doing this. I'm not the only one struggling with like motivation.
The mental side.
Yeah. There's the people don't talk about that, but everyone, everyone's doing it. Everyone's having a hard time. It's a hard thing to do. It's easy to go do a 9-to-5 job and just punch in the hours and do what you're told, but to have no direction and you just do it yourself is hard. But everyone's there. Everyone that's doing music is there too. So you're not the only one.
I agree, man. Like, I always tell people, like, whenever they message me, it doesn't matter like how big or small that producer or sample maker is. I'm like, I want you to win and succeed. I want to see everybody win and succeed. It's not about if this person wins, I can't. There's no like first or second, because all that is just so temporary and switches all the time. And it's just about, being able to enjoy the process and enjoy life and realize that through making music, it's about reaching people. It's not about getting money. It's about like making connections with people's hearts.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to realize at first. But the more I feel like you start to do it, you realize that it's like none of this matters. It's cool to have money. It'd be cool to be millionaire off music, but it's also like you realize that at some point that stuff doesn't matter as much.
It's true, man. Well, Thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me today. I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of your year goes, seeing you release as an artist, and maybe we'll touch base again in a year and we'll see where you're at and get an update and see where things are going for you, brother.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Thank you. I appreciate that.